Good morning and welcome to Ireland AM on Virgin Media 1.
Yes, it is Tuesday the 5th of September. We have lots in store for you coming right up.
On the way, we're dissecting the news stories from at home and abroad when we sit down with News Talk Sean Defoe.
Oops. From pitchside to punditry, former rugby international Ian Madigan is checking in ahead of this weekend's Rugby World Cup. And we're also going to be discussing this. There you have it. It's a new tune. It's by Nunuri. Is that right?
Nunuri, yeah.
Nuri.
Yeah.
Nuri. The first AI-generated singer to bag a record deal. That's insane. We're going to be discussing her rise to fame in our tech roundup at 7:45. Do you like the tune? What do you think of it?
Yeah.
I mean, is this going to be the end of pop music as we knew it?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that they have to make sure she's in a tiny little bikini and everything. It's great. It's great.
It's
really
like the little
AI-generated.
doll my daughter's plays with.
Interesting. We're going to be talking about girls and cyberbullying a little bit later on and the pressures they feel there. So interesting. Do you like the tune, Alan?
It's okay, but I mean, it is mad. It is mad, isn't it?
Well, I suppose when you can't control someone like Britney Spears anymore, you literally have to create one.
Create an
Do you know what I mean?
version of it. It's just
Weird.
nuts.
Weird.
Now, later on also, we're going to have dessert for breakfast. That's thanks to Edward Hayden, who's sharing his recipe for the perfect Pavlova. And stylist Justine King is sorting out your day-to-day wardrobe. Plus, myself and Tommy are learning about the relaxing powers of tapping.
I think I need it today, Al.
Yeah, do you?
I genuinely thought it was tapping your card. I was like, is that a good
Tapping
thing?
your card,
Every
no,
time I
tapping your
tap.
face. Now, our wandering weatherman Deric is prepping us for the harvest season. Deric, where are you today?
Yes, good morning all. Harvest season in full swing and we're live here from a beautiful part of the country, Rossinver here in North County Leitrim. Now, pretty decent one out there today, some thundery showers once again through the west and in around the southwest, but elsewhere some pretty decent sunshine and in fact some nice warm valleys up to around 22 to 26 degrees. Anyway, the Organic Centre is where we're at this morning here along the shores of Loch Melvin, very close to the Fermanagh border. As you mentioned there, autumn season, the harvest season in full swing. So later on this morning we're going to be taking you through the art of apple pressing. So I've got my wheelbarrow full of apples here. I've got my man from Del Monte hat and I'm heading off to press some apples. What else should we do on a Tuesday morning? We'll catch you later on.
What else would you be doing there? Fair play, man. He's unreal. Off he goes there now with his wheelbarrow.
I would just walk to see how far he'd actually go to do all that. He'd just keep on going, wouldn't he?
Just in circles.
We'll be talking to Appleman a little bit later on, but right now let's go over to the Virgin Media News Hub. Here is Geraldine Lynagh.
Thanks, Mary. Good morning. A quarter of primary school children have experienced cyberbullying over the last year. A survey by the online safety charity CyberSafe Kids has also found that a third of primary school and almost 3/4 of secondary school students can go online whenever they want with minimum supervision. The charity is calling for greater education around internet use.
The evidence is mounting. The ability to be permanently online and on social media is harming young people. There are now calls, including from the Minister of Health, to have smartphones banned in school. The findings from this year's CyberKids survey will likely stoke this debate. Of the 8 to 12-year-olds surveyed, nearly half owned a smartphone. This rises to 3/4 by the age of 12. Over 80% of this group are on social media, and nearly a third say they have unrestricted and likely unsupervised internet access. A third say they play video games with strangers online, while a quarter say they have experienced cyberbullying. By secondary school, virtually all those surveyed own a smartphone. Nearly a quarter said they have no rules for going online, and as many as 40% said they have been cyberbullied. It's clearly an issue in schools. Nearly 3/4 of teachers surveyed said online safety was a significant issue. Almost 2/3 said they had dealt with online safety incidents more than once in their school over the past year. While the report stops short of calling for an outright ban, it says literacy on the issue is poor across the board, among students, parents and teachers. It's calling on the government to make online safety and digital literacy a core curricular subject from primary level onwards. Aubrey Robinson, Virgin Media News.
Ukrainian refugees arriving here will be accommodated in tents at the electric picnic site from today due to an accommodation shortage. Up to 750 people are expected to be housed there for a period of 6 weeks. It follows confirmation from the government that tents will become the primary source of accommodation for newly arrived refugees from next week. Sites like Dublin Airport, Croke Park and ex-military camps like Gormanston and County Meath have already been used as accommodation hubs to cope with the numbers. Gardaí say 310 motorists were caught speeding during a 24-hour operation for National Slowdown Day. One driver was clocked doing more than 160 kilometres an hour in a 100-kilometre zone in Louth during the operation. Yesterday, the Justice Minister confirmed that the number of speed detection cameras used on the country's roads will increase by 20%. The move follows a spate of fatalities on Irish roads, with 127 deaths recorded so far this year, 23 more than the same period in 2022. North Korea's Kim Jong-un reportedly plans to travel to Russia this month to meet President Vladimir Putin. US officials say it's believed the two leaders will discuss the possibility of North Korea providing Russia with weapons to bolster its war in Ukraine. The exact location and date of the meeting is still unclear. The White House has said it believes negotiations between the two countries over an arms deal were actively advancing. Tens of thousands of people are in the process of leaving the Burning Man festival in Nevada after being stranded for days due to bad weather. Organisers have given the go-ahead for vehicles to leave the site, which had become a mud bath after heavy rain. 62,000 people were still at the location last night, but a driving ban has now been lifted.
With the rain and everything, I'm really glad I didn't bring my vehicle now, because with the mud it would have been, yeah. But the roads dried up quite well, so I'm really impressed with how fast everything is moving.
The Taoiseach begins a 3-day visit to the Middle East today with a visit to Israel. Micheál Martin is due to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today, where he's expected to raise concerns about illegal settlements on Palestinian territory and discuss the global rise in anti-Semitism. The Taoiseach is also due to visit the World Holocaust Memorial Centre in Jerusalem, where he will lay a wreath on behalf of Irish people. He'll also visit Lod, a mixed Jewish-Arab city where Ireland contributes to joint education initiatives. Firefighters in Greece have managed to contain a blaze close to Athens as wildfires continue to burn across the country. More than 70 firefighters, including 18 from France, backed by 2 airplanes and 3 helicopters, managed to bring the blaze under control within hours. It comes as more than 700 emergency workers continue to battle a blaze close to the border with Turkey that so far claimed the lives of at least 20 people. And finally for now, a huge rock slide at a supermarket car park in Tennessee has been caught on camera. The sudden event took shoppers by surprise, but nobody was injured when the rocks came tumbling down. The area has since been cleared, but remains sealed off for safety reasons.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Thank you, Ger, and a very good morning. We're live here from the very tippy top of Leitrim. We're here in Rossinver in the north of the county, just north of Manorhamilton at the moment. We're at the Organic Centre and we're talking all things apple pressing later on this morning with autumn season in full flow. So that's all to come in around 8:45. Anyway, we're on to Tuesday, 5th of September. Let's take an opening look at weather together now with Gary Culliton with us on cameras. And once again, it's a mainly dry and settled start. Good deal of mist and fog out there this morning now with that ridge of high pressure, keeping conditions mainly settled. So we're going to see a pretty decent start out there this morning, bearing in mind those easterly winds picking up pace moderate at times. Now, right across today, in fact, take a look at the map because it is another very decent day in store. We're going to see really nice sunshine across the island, with the exception parts of the west and around the southwest where we will see the odd thundery downpour out there today. Elsewhere it will be mild, muggy and warmer muggy in terms of those temps, with top temps values there in around 22 to 26 degrees. Into tonight then it will be dry and settled for a time. Once again we will see some light southern showers. Those easterly winds will freshen, especially on southern coast, and again it will be quite a heavy night in store in terms of those values, with overnight lows back to 11 to 16 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in a dry and settled Rossinver here in County Leitrim. We'll be back again at 7:35.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, PSNI seeks new head as Byrne resigns. Constable Simon Byrne has resigned with immediate effect following a series of controversies over the past month.
Girls bear brunt of online bullying, new report reveals. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. A CyberSafe Kids report has shown Ireland's 8 to 16-year-olds face shocking levels of bullying, contact from strangers and exposure to sexual or violent content online.
The Examiner also covers this report with children suffering online bullying in silence. 25% of primary pupils experience cyberbullying as the government looks for ways to help schools that are trying to ban smartphones.
Hospital pleads for more Garda patrols is the top story on the Daily Mail. The Mater Hospital has asked for more patrols because of the open drug dealing in its A&E department and rising antisocial behaviour.
The Mirror's front page, fan held in Keno headbutt row. A 42-year-old man has been arrested after allegedly headbutting football star Roy Keane in the VIP area of Arsenal's Emirates Stadium on Sunday.
Yes, the Sun similarly leads with that story. Arsenal fan breaks nose headbutting Roy Keane, and so does the Herald with assaulted Keenot.
The Star leads with Chucky Gargraw. Wolf Tones frontman Brian Warfield has hailed the band's record-breaking Electric Picnic show, telling host Joe Duffy, "You'd never get a crowd that big."
And he's probably right.
I know.
It's insane, wasn't it? Look at the numbers there to see it.
Yeah,
absolutely
unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
And now on the way, we're going to be looking at this morning's trending stories.
Yeah, we'll see you after this short break.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Now, an increase in roadside speed cameras and stark findings from CyberSafe Kids report on children's lives online. You will have seen it was the head of our news today. They're making the headlines across this morning's papers.
So join us to discuss as News Talk's Sean Defoe. Good morning to you, Sean. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off with the speed vans, because we're obviously talking about the amount of deaths on our roads in the last couple of months is quite frightening. So a 20% increase of deployment of speed vans around the country.
Yeah, €1.2 million extra announced yesterday by Helen McEntee, and something needed to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weird one where this increase doesn't seem to have any one thing behind it. We had actually been doing quite well when it came to road safety over the last few years, but compared to 2019, 2020, well ahead, dozens more deaths compared to the same time this year, and obviously some particularly tragic ones in the last few weeks that I think shocked everybody around the country. Yeah. When you look at the likes of road safety, what deters people is getting caught. And I can't remember the last time I saw a guard on the road. I can't remember the last time I saw a speed van on the road, you know, even driving around Dublin and driving on the M50. So that is part of the thinking here from the government, is look, put more of them out there. If you think you're going to be caught by a speed van, if you think you're going to be pulled with a guard, that's when you think about it.
I don't know the statistics on it, but around Dublin, the M50, compared to the numbers of accidents and deaths that we're seeing around the country, and it's back roads and country roads that seem to be the most at risk at the minute as well. So
yeah, definitely. A lot
to have that visibility is the big thing that will make people hopefully slow down. But 100%. At the same time, it's personal responsibility too.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, that's a huge part of it. And people, I suppose, feel too safe behind the wheel. We've all been there, you know, where you just get a little bit confident, or you're not really thinking. You're driving along late at night and you're a bit tired. You're not thinking about it. But if you think that you are going to run into a speed van or run into a guard, that can be one of the things that changes behaviour.
I'd love to hear what people think about this. It does feel sometimes incredibly insensitive to talk about something like this when there is such mourning happening around the country at this really hard times, because these are people's lives. We cannot forget these 127 deaths this year. These are people. But 0896 111 111, because my question is, so this is a Go Safe consortium. They're a private enterprise that operate these speed vans. I see them all the time, but I see them on incredibly safe roads. I've tried to find the statistics. I don't see them on the accident black spots. I don't see them, like a man lost his life in Cremon in County Kerry the other day on it's kind of a dangerous stretch of road, right? I don't see them there. I see them on places where you're like, well, you know, you're going 120, I'm catching you for 130, but it's an incredibly safe stretch of road. Yeah. This is my argument about it. should they not be on the black spots, just on the black spots all the time?
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's two things on that. One, it's just physically easier to put them on the bigger roads because obviously they take up a big chunk of space. You're not going to have a speed van on a back road. Two, totally get your point. And that's where I think the Gardaí need to be more visible and more out there, and they're not. You know, is a speed van on that back road going to stop you? Maybe not necessarily, or maybe you don't have the room for it, but you might have room for
But then
Gardaí
it's just a
to be
money-making
stopping
exercise. Is it just a money-making exercise?
No, I think it's also about catching people, because if you get caught once, and you get your 3 penalty points and your insurance goes up and all the rest of it, you're going to think about doing it again. And you look at some of the people who were caught yesterday in the 24 hours. I mean, one in Monaghan doing 120 in an 80 zone. There were others, one in Wicklow doing 130 in a 100 zone. You know, people who, and by and large, it's local people who are very confident with the roads and who know the roads. And this is in no way trying to put fault on, you know, the people who have got into accidents. They obviously weren't trying to get into an accident or have this happen. But when we get too comfortable behind the car is when you get dangerous. And if you introduce that level of discomfort by thinking, I could be done here, I could be caught here.
To be fair, you're right. Like, I saw 2 speed vans yesterday, one the M50 and one on a back road towards Monaghan. And, you know, they might not be there tomorrow, but at the same time, it would make you just think, right, I need to just be a bit more mindful of your speed. So the fact that they pop up all over the place will just... Listen, let us know what you think. 0896 111 111. I mean, as Byrne said, is it a money-saving exercise, or is it the need... Listen, what can the government do, bar maybe trying to make more aware?
It is a tricky one. It's definitely not a panacea for it, but I think it's probably a step that they can take. The low-hanging fruit of what they can take the right step towards. You know?
The front of a number of the papers, I think the Examiner, the Indo as well this morning, is this report on the cyber safe with kids. There's a number of really frightening reports on this. 25% of children aged 8 to 12 experiencing bullying, which is a big thing. Predators, I mean, all sorts. I mean, it really does highlight how dangerous a phone is, particularly in a young mind like a child.
Yeah, we were only saying off air, wouldn't you hate to be a teenager growing up now? I mean, like, it's a whole other level of bullying and of access to people. And, like, you know, phones were starting to come in when I was in school, but it was nothing near the level of what it is now. And as we were saying, it follows you home is the thing that kind of strikes me, that even if it's going on in school, you could, if you were being bullied in school, you kind of always had the salvation of, I can go home, there's no one there. It's a nice, comfort, safe space. Yeah, 100%. Whereas now you don't. And it's more prevalent among teenagers. So you said 25% of children between 8 and 12. That rises to 40%, so 2 in 5 among 12 to 16-year-olds. And it's more prevalent among girls than it is among boys as well. And you see as well the people that they're interacting with, the children are interacting with online. I think the fascinating thing about this report is it's 5,000 young people. It's not, you know, as the parents or whatever. It's actually 8 to 16-year-olds that they surveyed in it. More than 1 in 4 self-reported as saying they had seen something that had bothered them or upset them online, you know, and for a young person to go that far to admit it and say, yeah, that actually made me really uncomfortable.
Of course they have. Like, if I'm seeing stuff that's upsetting me online as a, like, you know,
as an adult,
middle-aged bloody woman, it's, of course they are seeing horrific things. And there was one thing about this that Tommy, you saw and really kind of got you, that kids are being given phones without any sort of supervision.
It's on it was on the news there, 23% of kids given a phone but have no rules, so no conditions. And I just think, like, you know, it takes a while to learn even how to use the apps and like what algorithms and things come up. I mean, if you're just handing a child a phone with Snapchat, with TikTok, with Instagram, whatever else on it, who knows what they're going to be coming across? And as parents, it's up to parents. Like, a lot of this has come down to teachers, but I think the buck stops with the parents too.
Definitely. But and it's also such a difficult one for parents who don't really necessarily always understand it either. True. Like, you know, who have never used Snapchat, who have never... But, like, not in a... I don't mean that in a reductive way, but, you know, we don't understand it generation to generation.
I have a clue.
You
and
know,
the kids
it was
know
Facebook
a lot more.
with us, and you know, our parents were like, well, what's this Facebook? And now it's Snapchat and everything else, you know, and it's passed on. But then there's other ones that are... Like, for example, one of the big ones that's cited in this is being left out of group chats. You know... And, like, it's such an kind of insidious thing where it's not necessarily someone saying, oh, I hate you, which you maybe can deal with, but when you feel left out, when all your friends have created a group chat that you're not in.
There's so many ways to alienate people now.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a very, very hard thing for anybody to tackle or to deal with. Like, as a parent, what do you do about that? Your child mightn't be left out in school, but they're left out of this chat and they're wondering, what are they saying about me in it? Like, it's really...
Message the other mums or whatever, say, can you add my son in?
I'm a big fan of the school ban, though. The one, they've done it in some of the Greystone school where they're just like, no one has the phone during school hours and with everybody, and then it's up to the parents afterwards. So a big fan of that, but it's only part of it.
And the government are talking about, we want to support as many schools as want to do this. We would love to hear from you today. It's in all of the papers. You'll see it online this morning if you have a look at this, and it's in our top news news story, 0896 111 111, because it is incredibly frightening. Let's move to something that's actually quite nice. And this is about Irish people and their bodies, Sean. What's going on?
We're actually all really proud of our bodies.
This is amazing.
I definitely wasn't asked about this in the survey, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Yeah, Irish people are in the top 10 of a global study about people who are happy with their own physiques. The Maltese are number 1, really strangely. And in the bottom
Why
3...
really strangely? What are you saying about Maltese people?
You never hear Malta in anything. Malta are never the top of anything, and yet they're happiest with their bodies.
World Gay Pride is on there this year in Malta. There you go.
And I'm sure they'll all be lovely. Get out there with the tops off. Yeah, this really surprised me that Ireland is, I think, 7th in the top, and then compared to some of the other countries which usually compare ourselves, the UK, France, Brazil as well, all in the bottom 10. The UK were second from last to be happiest with their bodies.
And Brazil and the US would have the highest rate of cosmetic surgeries. Well, Brazil certainly does have one of the highest rates of cosmetic surgeries.
Certainly one of the highest rates, yeah, and definitely the US as well with the Botox generation. But it's sort of remarkable because all the stuff we hear, and even the HSE stats saying that 60% of people in Ireland are overweight or obese, and that's going towards 88% if nothing changes by 2050.
88%.
And yet we're all happy. The only thing I could think of, right, that might definitely be fueling this is, the lads who are out now and as soon as it gets 15 degrees, the top's off and the belly is hanging out, but he's walking down the town, not a bother, going to get a pint, has the polo shirt tucked into the back.
Absolutely.
Happy out with life. So maybe that's the way to live.
I think we have a quote from him saying, "I respect my body and I appreciate the different and unique characteristics of my body." There you have it.
So it is good.
Happy to show it off.
You should absolutely be happy with your body. So it's good to hear that people are.
People of Ireland.
What do you think? Yeah. Are you content with your body like most of the people in Ireland? It sounds 0896 111.
Sean is sticking around with us to take us through stories making international headlines, including something that comes straight out of Dr. Evil and Austin Powers.
No. We'll see you after the break. It's great to have you back. It's time now to take a look at some of the stories making international headlines.
And I stay with us this morning for a roundup of those stories. It is Sean Defoe. Sean, thank you so much. What's going on you walk around France and you see a lot of people smoking all the time. What are they up to now?
Yeah, it's like that traditional image, isn't it? The guy sitting outside the cafe, beret on, like stripy t-shirt, fag in one hand, croissant in the other. Glass of red and an espresso. But no, France is moving, part of their budget is really moving against smoking, and as part of that they're looking at disposable vapes and basically saying, not dissimilar to what's been talked about here, that they're a gateway drug into proper smoking, particularly for teenagers with all the different flavours, bubble gum, etc. So they're looking at banning the disposable ones. It's funny, the generation gap on this. I was at All Together Now a few weeks ago, and I was, one of these gigs where you're kind of behind 3 groups and you're sort of flip between them because of the way everyone's jostling. It's a group of lads in their 20s, group of lads in their 40s, and a group of lads probably in their 50s, 60s, right? Yeah. And I ended up behind them at different bits, and all of them were puffing backwards. The lads in the 20s was like this bubblegum, guava sort of flavour coming back. The lads in their 40s was pure smoke, nothing but cigarettes. And the lads in their 50s, 60s was weed all the way.
I was just about to say,
it was this weird generational divide. I couldn't figure out where all the smells were coming from, but it was very stimulating. But
literally pick your poison.
I know, literally, pick where you were inhaling from.
Right.
But as much as people talk about these vapes being a gateway drug out of smoking for sort of older generations, and there are some people who are, because they just turn down the nicotine each time until they eventually get to zero. Yeah. On the other hand, young people are picking up because they're like, oh, it's cool and it tastes nice, and then...
And we were talking about cyber safe with kids there earlier on, but a big problem that you're seeing a lot is school kids picking up these disposable vapes, and they all taste of strawberries and whatever else. There's no deterrent for them. So the fact that France are doing that...
Have you tried? Like, they taste gross.
No, I haven't. But I mean, you see, like, I know it's a big thing that a lot of other parents are talking about.
Yeah, well, they were meant to be banned here in July, and the government never didn't legislate it before the summer. The bill was going through the Oireachtas. It was meant to be passed and wasn't. So it'll be on the agenda when the Dáil returns in 2 weeks. But they're dragging the feet.
Mira, they were having a good time with the RT. They wanted to keep. Look over there. Look over there.
We'll move on to another very interesting story. Well, you can tell us. So it's BRICS. It's a new economic bloc. Is that right?
So this is one that people mightn't have heard of. It was actually set up back in 2009 with Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and then South Africa were added in.
Yeah, so that's BRICS. That's the acronym.
Yeah, that's where it comes in, BRICS. And it's sort of set up as not necessarily an anti-EU or another EU, but basically bringing these countries together to say, right, we're not really aligned with the West, we're not really aligned with the US, we're not under those sort of influences. What can we do? But now it's expanding. It's bringing in a whole bunch of other countries, it's bringing in the likes of Brazil, Argentina are looking at it as well, and Saudi Arabia. So you now have about 40% of the world's population, most of the big oil producers, all coming into this economic bloc of countries that suddenly is very powerful, has an awful lot of money, includes obviously Russia. They had a big meeting in South Africa recently where this was all confirmed, which Vladimir Putin couldn't attend because basically he would have been arrested if he had. So Sergei Lavrov, his foreign minister, went instead. But they have agreed on this. They've been talking particularly between Russia and China about alternate currencies to the dollar as the world currency or the world backup currencies. So it's kind of quietly becoming this really influential and powerful bloc on the world stage.
So would this be an alternative to like NATO, for instance? Would it be, do you think, or is it?
It's more. It seems to be more about economic cooperation than military.
Okay,
but,
sorry.
I mean, you know, that's
but
sort
that's
of where
the
it
start,
starts,
isn't it?
And when you have these kind of massive countries and so much of the world population in the developing world in there, I mean, India's economy is going to be huge in the next 20 years. It's sort of the China
as well, yeah.
China as well. Now, China's having its own struggles after COVID. But India is sort of where China was 20 years ago and coming on and has this massive population, has landed on the moon, you know, has done all these different things.
Challenging the world order.
There have been talks about Iran could be included at some stage. They have said, oh, that might be politically problematic, but we've seen that they're decreasing their uranium, of what they're trying to make with uranium to try to get sanctions up. So this is, you know, history writes, the victors write history. The people in these countries are like, well, you know, all these other countries are against us. Why not come together for this economic power? It's just they have gone under the radar for a very long time, and it feels that now they're like, no, actually, we're quite powerful. Yeah,
it's kind of sort of coming onto the world stage quite quietly. And it's really interesting the way, particularly China, has done this around the world, even in the likes of the UN. I was there last year and I was talking to some officials, and they were saying that China has this huge diplomatic advantage because of being an authoritarian regime. So in the likes of the UN, they've put people into low-ranking posts 20 years ago who are rising and rising and rising, whereas in Europe, those posts are rotated between all the different countries. So China suddenly has this bureaucracy within big international bodies like the UN that's been there for 20 years, that has a lot more power than someone who's coming in fresh from an Ireland or a Germany or wherever else. So like you say, very quietly, there's an awful lot of influence on the world stage. And we've seen that on the UN Security Council when it tried to bring forward actions against Russia while Russia was chairing the UN Security Council and could just veto it.
Insane that is as well. Yeah, really fascinating. If you have an opinion on that, 0896 111 111. Let's move on to now the UK Education Secretary. Had a bit of a slip up after an interview on the telly, I gather.
Yeah, this is a great one. So Gillian Keegan, a real thick of it moment, you know, was being interviewed and was kind of being grilled. There's a lot talk about education in the UK and how there's not enough schools and not enough money has been put into it. And she did the interview, you know, red light went off and she sat back and I think the exact quote...
You know what, will we listen? I think,
if we have it, great.
Do we have it? Can we listen to the clip from Gillian Keegan?
But we will get a plan and every single one of them will be done.
OK, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on their and done nothing? No signs of that, no?
Fair point, Gillian, to be fair. Does anybody ever say that?
Can you and I say anything? I'm just saying, she's the Education Secretary, on, off.
It's fantastic, just the light bulbs. It's like me when the red light goes off with you guys, you know? It's like,
the light bulb.
Say, could we not just do that?
Sometimes we think the red light's off, Sean, but it's not.
It's very, very dangerous, isn't it?
Who would do that in Ireland?
You'd definitely get it. I'd get in trouble for naming. But there would definitely be a few that once the mic goes off. And usually they say they don't broadcast those things, but it was just too good not to broadcast.
Too good not to broadcast, yeah, absolutely. Sure, listen.
Well, Gillian, you've done a good job. Well done. And so have you, Sean Defoe. Thank you so much.
Schools are literally falling down in the UK. You've done a great job.
Well done. Pat on the back is what you need.
From Bauer Media. Great to have you with us, Sean. Thank you so much for that. Now, Alan, what else have we got coming up this hour?
Well, Sean, do you want to stay for the rest of the hour? You might as well. You've been here for most of it.
Good.
Up next, we're going to discuss the first AI pop singer to land a major record deal. Yes, this is actually happening. We're going to round up all the latest tech gossip after the break.
You're very welcome back now. The last week has seen the rise of an AI pop star. which is so catchy, it's insane. And big changes to X, formerly Twitter's user policies.
Now, here to round up all the tech news that you need to know is our digital dynamo, Elaine Burke. There, do you like that one now? There you go, digital dynamo. Let's talk about this, this AI creation. This is a new pop star that has a record deal and has just released her first single.
So yeah, like many pop stars, she started out as an influencer and fashionista, and now she's pivoting to pop.
No, this is not a person, we have to say.
Yeah, this is Nunuri. So
Nunuri.
An AI avatar creation, but has had an Instagram account for a number of years now and has amassed over 400,000 followers.
Actually?
Yeah. Has landed a deal with Kim Kardashian West's beauty brand as an AI influencer. I don't know how an AI sells beauty to people, but yeah, this is the real thing. There's lots of these kind of characters out there, but Nunuri is making headlines because Nunuri has signed a deal with Warner Music, and Warner Music being a big music label that a lot of us would be familiar with. It's Warner Music Germany that has picked her up because her creator, Jörg Zuber, is a German man.
Okay, let's have a look at Nunuri in action.
Once you get me started, I'm a runaway train. My heart is like an ocean, you is nothing more waves. Just a little push, that's enough to start a chain reaction. One by one, box and fall, like dominoes, dominoes. One by one, watch them roll, like dominoes, dominoes.
I mean, we played this at the top of the show. I've been humming it all morning. It like sticks in your brain. It's insane. So, like Nunuri, I never knew that it had an Instagram profile or whatever else.
It had. What do we call it?
It is hard to know what to call them because we don't want to personify them too much, because then that kind of actually buys in to the unreality that's being created around them. But it is like there's a lot of like reasons why I can see why Warner would pick this up, because she has a biography. She's 19 years old. She's from Munich. She could be 19 years old forever if they want her to be.
Exactly.
She will never engage in problematic behaviours that will get headlines and that will like disgrace her character that they tried to create. And it is a perfect piece of Europop, and manufactured pop, you know, can be great. And it's very catchy. I heard it once and it was in my head.
We were just discussing before as well how, listen, manufactured pop is not a new thing. It might be to AI, but there's lots of, you know, pop moguls over the years who have manufactured music.
Yeah, but
put a couple of faces
at least people were getting paid. There was the producers behind it. There was everyone behind it.
Well,
were all getting paid. And the band were getting paid. They were a live band. Nunuri, how much is Nunuri getting? No, actually, the royalties. 15 people.
Yeah,
well,
but there would be a team behind other pop stars as well. So they're saying they're creating jobs with this, but I don't know if they are excluding one job.
It wouldn't be as many jobs.
Person who's at the front.
And they have said that they're going to the actual royalties will be divided among the record company, the DJ who produced it, and the creator of Nunuri.
Yeah, Jörg Zuber is going to do well if Nunuri does well.
What about poor AI? Does it not get paid out of this?
Well, see, what's really interesting is that voice, we call it generative AI, but really we should start calling it derivative AI, because that AI voice is actually pulling from other voices that may have been supplied online by people and are unknowingly now part of an AI program that's creating voices. And they're not getting compensated. So that's a real big question about where those
It goes back to that song by Drake in The Weeknd that they knew nothing about. They just mixed their voices together and made this great song as well. Let's move on to X and their privacy policies. So what X obviously is the social media platform, used to be known as Twitter. Now Elon Musk has taken it over. It's called X.
Yes, and this is a report from Bloomberg where they spotted that there's going to be an update to the privacy policy that will be in effect from late September. And essentially they've just added a detail in the privacy policy that says among the information that they collect about you, it may also include biometric data. Now, biometric data is essentially, say, like a fingerprint scan or a face scan.
Like your iPhone uses.
And it's typically used for authentication to unlock your phone or unlock, say, a payment or something like that. the reason why this information is quite precarious when brands start collecting it is because you can't change or update it. Like if your credit card details get compromised, you can cancel your credit card and get a new credit card issued. If your fingerprint data gets compromised, if your facial data gets compromised, you can't change that. Like you would have a problem there. So in the EU, this kind of data has higher levels of protection required for it.
So can I just
they will
ask
have
you, Elaine,
challenges there.
what could, if people got hold of that information, like your fingerprint or your face, what can they do with it?
Well, if they manage to get your face scan data and then could get into apps because of that.
Oh, right. So they just use your and get into your...
Yeah.
Could rob a bank and then put the
but
fingerprint on
like
it.
my thumbprint is on my phone for all my transactions.
It is, yeah,
Elon
and it's
Musk
essentially
has
like
asked to,
it's a data piece that's matching that thumbprint. So can someone compromise that data, get that data, and try and basically reverse engineer it and get into your stuff? Now, there's not a huge amount of cases of that happening. There are way easier ways to hack into people's data that people use. But it's just because of the sensitivity of that data, the fact that if it got compromised, that you could never change it, that's something that requires a lot of protection.
Interesting as well. You can see he's trying to take on LinkedIn as well by sharing data to potential employers as well. But I do want to ask you about this EU Digital Services Act that is changing in the EU, because we're seeing at the front of a lot of papers this morning about children online and their safety. So what are they bringing into EU, into law, that might make things a bit safer, will it?
Yeah, well, part of the Digital Services Act does address children being online, and it basically makes direct targeted advertising at children illegal in the EU.
Okay.
And so that means that like your child won't have ads served to them that are kind of created around a profile or a digital footprint of them. They can still be served ads, they just can't be targeted ads. And
what do you mean they can still be served ads but not targeted ads?
So they'll be engaging with online platforms and they'll just get whatever generic ads are. And if you use depersonalised settings yourself, you can get generic ads.
So does this mean somebody under 18, if they're typing in something and it's to do with a toy, the toy companies can't send them direct ads the way we get it?
Exactly. The way that like their kind of search and their interactions might inform what ads they get, what ads we get, that won't happen for it.
Can I ask you a bit about this as well? Was there something there that can track whether kids shouldn't be using a platform or whatever else? So say TikTok, I think you can't have it if you're under 16, but this...
Well, essentially, so what this means is it actually kind of puts a responsibility on the platforms to identify if children are using it so that they're not caught out accidentally targeting ads at child users. So the way most platforms do this at the broadest end of the spectrum is they just ask users when they sign up to provide a date of birth. Very easy to work around, you just put in the wrong year. But there are actually teams on various platforms who try to actually track the behaviour of an account to see if there's any signals there that identify that it's being misrepresented by its age, that it's an adult account but actually being operated by a child. And signals would be like, you know, the accounts that they follow, the ways they engage and stuff. And they do try and boot those accounts off because they don't want to get caught out accidentally targeting what is turning out to be a child's account.
Yeah, well, it's good news at least that there is more structure and more protection coming into the EU. Elaine Burke, thank you very much for tech's sake. Your podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Very, very interesting. 0896 111 111. If you have any opinions on that new Nuri song, let us know.
Let's know.
Still to come this morning, Edward Hayden is making us a fresh fruit pavlova and Deric is making cider.
Well, there you go. And we're going to meet a comedian who used her ADHD diagnosis as an inspiration for a stage show. We'll see you back here very soon.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, PSNI seeks new head as Byrne resigns. Constable Simon Byrne has resigned with immediate effect following a series of controversies over the past month.
Girls bear brunt of online bullying, new report reveals. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. A Cyber Safe Kids report has shown Ireland's 8 to 16-year-olds face shocking levels of bullying, contact from strangers and exposure to sexual or violent content online.
The Examiner also covers this report with children suffering online bullying in silence. 25% of primary pupils experience cyberbullying as the government looks for ways to help schools that are trying to ban smartphones.
Hospitals plead for more guard patrols is the top story on the Daily Mail. The Mater Hospital has asked for more patrols because of the open drug dealing in its A&E department and rising antisocial behaviour.
The Mirror goes with fan held in Keno headbutt row. A 42-year-old man has been arrested after allegedly headbutting football star Roy Keane in the VIP area of Arsenal's Emirates Stadium on Sunday.
The Sun similarly leads with that story. Arsenal fan breaks nose headbutting Roy Keane, and so does the Herald assaulting Keenot.
The Star leads with Chucking Our Grow. Wolf Tones frontman Brian Moorfield has hailed the band's record-breaking electric picnic show. It was about 50,000 people attended them in the Electric Arena after he told Liveline host Joe Duffy back in August, "You'd never get a crowd that big."
And the scenes of it look pretty damn impressive as well. I'm sure it was a great weekend. Listen, one of the main stories on the news this morning is talking about the road accidents, 20% of increase of deployment of speed cameras around the country to try and tackle the rise in obviously deaths. And Mike has just said that secondary rural roads are not maintained, potholes are all over the place. The hedgerows are not allowed to be cut because obviously they're trying to rewild and stuff now. So all of a sudden, narrow roads are more narrow and blind bends. It makes it no longer safe to walk on these roads, never mind driving.
Yeah, well, I suppose we were raising the question earlier on, where are they placing these extra 20%? Because like even the commissioner or the chairwoman of the Road Safety Authority yesterday was on the news and she was saying that yes, the majority of these accidents do happen on these smaller roads and the majority of fatalities happen on these smaller roads, these small country roads, but whereas the majority of the speed cameras on motorways and dual carriageways that are safe and have very few crashes.
No, it is, but you would have to think if they're having a 20% deployment that they will be interspersing them all over the place.
You'd like to think.
You'd like to think.
But the problem is, where do you fit one of those vans in those country roads?
There's always little laybys and stuff, isn't there?
Let's get there. Sarah says, I would also question the placement of speed cameras. The dual carriageway near us has a speed limit of 60 kilometres and they had one there. It already has to be one of the safest roads in the country. And again, the Gardaí don't operate the speed vans. It's by a consortium called Go Safe, who made record profits when it was first set up. And I think that they made 7.5. They made a certain amount last year that had to be covered by the guards because they hadn't made, because they get a certain amount every year.
We're going to see a lot more of them out there. We were also talking about a lot of the other papers as well. CyberSafe's kids reveal worrying statistics. 25% of children between 8 to 12 are getting bullied and experience different things online. As a teacher, as a parent, or I wanted to get the teacher one. Marianne said, while I will be supportive of banning smartphones in schools, it isn't the answer. As a primary school teacher, I know there are kids being bullied online just by their demeanour, and it's not like I can do anything. I can't see the bullying taking place, and that's why it makes it so difficult to deal with.
But that's why bullying online is so difficult to deal with. It's not just one person in a classroom that you can go over and chastise or try and sort out. This is online
it's
and
just
sometimes...
by the demeanour. You know, a teacher must see a kid who's so bubbly and so outgoing
and then going down
inside themselves must be so difficult. And for parents as well, whenever you can't control and see what's going on online.
We'd love to hear from you. As always this morning, it's 0896 111 111. Now, still to come, we meet the actor who turned her search for a Dopa-mean hit into a soon-to-be theatre hit.
There you have it. We'll see you for that after the break. You're very welcome back. Now turning her later in life ADHD diagnosis into a play well, it felt like the most natural thing for comedian Louisa Ní Ádáin to do.
Combining comedy and cabaret, we are told, Louisa. You are hoping that your show, Dopa-mean Girl, will give audiences an insight into how her brain works. And Louisa is with us now. We've put a lot of words into your mouth there, really. Haven't you? This is exactly what your show has to do.
You on, anyway.
Hello.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good, good.
So tell us about Dopa-mean Girl. Obviously, Dopa-mean, mean girl. It's nice.
Thanks. Pretty proud of the title.
Good.
Yeah, so it's a sort of musical comedy show, as Gaeilge and in English, so it's bilingual, and it's going to be part of the Dublin Fringe Festival next week.
And what's it all about?
Well, it in what someone told me was possibly the most ADHD reaction ever after I got my ADHD diagnosis last year. I just sort of thought, well, the only logical next step is to write a show about this and try and get it on stage somewhere. So that's what it's about. It's about getting a diagnosis later in life and kind of what that means and sort of the funnier sides of it and the different view, I suppose, you take looking back over your experiences with this new information.
And what? Because I do the online ADHD test all the time because everyone's always talking about it, and it's like, oh, go see a healthcare professional. So what made you kind of go, don't start, don't start? So what made you, what made you kind of go, okay, I want to check this out? Did you do the online test and then you go see a doctor or whatever?
Yeah, did all the online tests, of course. It was, I'd always thought, like a lot of people, there's a lot of stereotypes about what ADHD is, and like my main information probably came from watching the Oprah Winfrey Show when I was homesick from school years ago, and it was like thing that happened to American boys who climbed trees, and it was disruly in the class, and that's ADHD. And then kind of during COVID, I suppose, when we were spending more time on our phones at home, I sort of saw a few articles or a few videos about people describing things they did, and I was like, oh, how dramatic, we all do that. And then the more I saw it, I was like, oh, hold on a second, maybe everyone doesn't think like that. Like the constant fidgeting. So, and I'm always like doing this, even in meetings, I kind of control it by doing it under the table. Yeah. I'm always moving my hands. And I thought, oh, that's because I played the piano. Yeah. And then when just like little things like that, and there was kind of a few of those that suddenly I thought, oh, hold on a second now. And I did the online test and I thought maybe this is worth exploring a bit more, and so that's why I decided to go and seek an actual diagnosis.
So you got the diagnosis.
I did.
You've been confirmed that you do have ADHD. Yes. What then? Does it just make sense? You're kind of thinking, oh, brilliant, or do you start to take medication, or is there? You know, how do you respond to that? Like, where does it go from there?
I think everyone's experience is different, so I can only really talk about what it's been like for me. And even within ADHD, there are different strains of ADHD, if you like. So my flavour is the hyperactive version, which when I announced this news to a lot of my friends, nobody batted an eyelid. So I was like, why is nobody more surprised? This is a big revelation. Everyone was like, So I think, there's different options. You can take medication. For me, I haven't gone down that route yet. Not that I would rule it out. But for me, it was more about like, okay, what are things I can do in my life to manage knowing there's a reason I find some things more difficult. Even if I did a kind of good job of like sort of making out like it was all under control, kind of going like, you're not great at that. Like just give yourself a break. Stop being so mean or like harsh to yourself about, you know, your cupboards aren't as tidy as someone else's, or just like I'm not great at that. But there's other things I'm good at. So how can I channel my energy there rather than, you know, making yourself feel worse about things?
Every time I talk to someone on the show about ADHD, I'm like, is that what? What's going on? I don't know, maybe the same thing happened to you at home, 0896 111 111, about how you realised that perhaps you had it. So Dopa-mean Girl, is it where'd the name come from? Was that...
So I really need to come up with a better answer for this. I wish I could say that I spent like months crafting the perfect name, but honestly, there was a submission deadline and I was like, gotta have a catchy name that indicates it might be funny. And I sat rhyming everything I could with Dopa-mean and I couldn't find anything good. I was trying to do, would it be a clever Irish English pun? And I was like, Dopa-mean, mean. I was like, mean girl.
Mean girl.
I mean,
that's what Neil Dellinger does. He just comes up with
work out with stuff.
So that's it. It's not. I'm sorry, I don't have a better story for it, but that's the truth.
Well, listen, well done to you. It is a great title for it as well. But you're doing comedy. Like this show has started. It didn't just come out of nowhere, because you had been doing improv and comedy sketches. You were living over in New York for a while. I mean, to go from a normal job, I think you're in tech or in sales or whatever else, to then just decide, I'm going to go and try a bit of improv. How did that come about, or like where was the interest?
Well, I've kind of always been doing something on stage just as a like a hobby. I've always played music and things. That's always been something I've sort of had on the side. And when I was living in New York, a friend, a forceful American friend was like, you should try improv. And I was like, absolutely not. And then kind of bullied me into doing it. And then I loved it.
It's kind of the most difficult type of comedy, is it?
But it is and it isn't. I think actually people with ADHD can be quite good at it because that thinking in the moment, you get such an adrenaline rush and such a dopamine hit from, well, I got to do something, like it's now or never. And so now it kind of makes sense why, of course, you still get nervous and stressed about it, but there's something about that, like you have to do something and there's something that just kicks in and you will do or say something. And it's also, I think, great, you know, whether you do anything with improv or not, it's a great thing to kind of train your brain, or also to realise, like, you'll be fine in any situation. You will find something to say, whether that's in work or whatever. I mean, you know better than anyone, right? Like, you'll be okay.
Send a Deric improv class.
Something will come out, whether good or bad. Bad most of the time on this show, but
it's not. It's fine. We're totally fine. It's kind of doing it off Gaeilge as well. So say if myself and Tommy are going to the show, you know, like not Leaf, I would be sitting there going, can people follow along?
Yeah, so I've tried to write it in a way that if you speak Irish, it's like, if anyone remembers DVDs, it's like you get the extras that's at the end of the DVD. There's a little bit of extra content, but everyone can follow along. So there's no major plot twist in Irish that suddenly people are like, why is she in the kitchen? You know, you can follow what's happening. But also, I think I'm okay if people feel like a little bit uncomfortable for a few sentences. I won't leave them there for long, because I think a lot of people who are neurodivergent, so whether they've ADHD or autism, often that's how they feel in the world, right? That there's a bit of like, am I reading these social cues correctly? Oh, I don't feel like I'm reading or understanding what's going on. So I'm also okay if people feel like, get a little hint of that for a second, but I promise you're not left there for too long.
So how does the show kind of showcase like what levels and how somebody who has ADHD works?
Different things. So some of it is kind of reflecting back on experiences I had that now you're kind of like, oh, when I used to get on school reports when I was very small, you know, she doesn't understand the rules about sitting in her chair. But there's part of it that's like, well, I was 4, which 4-year-old does. So I think it's a mix, because you do have a lot of people saying, well, everyone's like that, you know. And it's kind of exploring that difference of everyone's hyper sometimes. A lot of people are anxious sometimes, but it's the levels and the persistent nature of it that's different if you have ADHD. And I think especially for women, it's underdiagnosed in women, because up till recently, they didn't think, the mysterious they didn't think that women could get ADHD. It was just a thing for men and boys. So all of the research shows that for girls, I mean, like, don't get me started.
Such good blockers of things.
Listen, just keep on giving. But one of the ways it does present in girls then is, rather than that sort of hyperactive, disruptive boy in the class, or the stereotype we have, girls internalise it. So it often presents as anxiety, or the daydreamy girls in the class. And so a lot of women are misdiagnosed actually with anxiety or depression, when in fact the underlying cause is ADHD. So that's something I want people to just be more aware of, because we are underdiagnosed. There's very long waiting lists as well if you want a diagnosis. So it's not easy for people in that situation.
Very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, all the very best with the show. Louisa, need to add on. It is on the Dublin Fringe Festival. It is called Dopa-mean Girl, and of course that is running until September the 11th. Thank you so much for coming. Hey. You're very welcome back. Now we've got a summer dessert for you to enjoy in the beautiful sunshine. We're just commenting on how nice it is.
It's lovely out here this morning, and Edward Hayden is making a fresh fruit pavlova for us. Where do we start?
Good morning.
Where do you start? Start is a very...
Can I ask you, is pavlova easy to make? Because I would never attempt to make a pavlova.
Yeah.
Well, now you know me, I never attempt to make anything.
Absolutely. 13 years later, you still haven't. Pavlova is kind of easy to make, but it's one of those things that people... I mean, anything to do with meringue, I suppose there is a couple of kind of, you know, caveats in terms of
and it's
where
the
it can go wrong.
part that people go, oh, I'll never be able to get it right.
100%. So the meringue, and what I would always say to people is the real secret is actually the kind of the separation of the eggs. Okay, so separate the eggs, make sure that there's no trace of yolk. If you're kind of going in with your spoon to take out a little bit of the yolk out of the mixing bowl, just get rid of it. because it's not going to work. It's not going to
So you
aerate.
need the whites of the egg.
Yeah, the tiniest little bit. Just get it. You need the whites only. Now, a lot of the more modern machines like this one have a glass bowl or have a metal bowl, and they're really good because obviously they're always clean. If you've got the one with the plastic bowl, which a lot of people might have at home, whilst it's clean, not suggesting that anyone's bowl is dirty, again, they just harbour a little bit of grease. So maybe the tiniest little bit of a slice of a lemon, just rub it around it and then use a bit of kitchen towel.
How many egg whites?
Now, what I've got in here, it really all depends on what it is that you're looking for in terms of the size. So I've got about a 9-inch Pavlova there. So what I'm used for the recipe, what I've used for the recipe is I've used 4 egg whites there. So what I've done is just before we came live,
just 4
egg whites, yeah?
Right.
So just before we came live, I've just put those into the bowl, and you can see that I have them really, really stiffly beaten. So if I just turn that off for a second, just to get you to have a little look at it, you can see that that's what you're looking for. It shouldn't be any way kind of like watery or sloppy or anything at that stage. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some sugar. So what I've got is I've got some sugar. So I've got 8 ounces, 225. So it's 1 part egg, 2 parts sugar. And I'm just going to pop that in. Now, Alan, you were asking about the complexity around it. One of the things I always say to people is don't throw in all of the sugar together. So you can see, now I'm not being too exact or prescribed about it, but just putting in a bit of sugar and make sure it's beating well between each addition. So that's the 8 ounces of sugar. Now, again, as always, there's variations. So you could put in a little bit of brown sugar there if you wanted like a more toffee, chewy style meringue, the kind of the light, you know, like the Demerara brown sugar, and that would work really,
that would have
really
been nice, wouldn't it?
If you had
That would have been better. That would have been much nicer.
Oh, listen, come here. Absolutely.
Don't worry about it.
Must try harder. Now, in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some corn flour. Now, the corn flour gives you that lovely kind of like soft centre.
While it's mixing.
Yeah, OK, so I'm just going to reduce it a little bit so it doesn't kind of burst out.
Oh, you
so a
put
little
that
bit of
all
corn
in, you
flour,
don't put that in
about a teaspoonful.
Bits.
And then I'm just going to put in a little bit of vinegar. And also you can put in, the vinegar, of course, keeps it really nice and white and pale, as you can see, and keeps the meringue nice and sharp. And also a little bit of vanilla extract in there would be
hold
more
on a
than
second.
well.
How does vinegar keep it white?
Again, it works really well with the egg whites. It's the kind of the science of baking, so it works really well.
Don't ask.
So it's going to be under, well, obviously it's going to be baked at low temperature. But if you can see, I know you're after giving it a poke there. I did see you giving me Pavlova a kind of I must just have a sense of this, and made a hole in me Pavlova.
Sorry.
Instead of just minding your own business and leaving it alone.
Sorry,
but anyway,
look, it's only a little hole.
Absolutely, we'll fill it with a bit of cream.
I was actually feeling it, thinking it was
that
nice.
It is nice
it's
and
nice
crisp.
and hard.
Absolutely. So again, you're looking for that nice crisp texture. Now, what I'm going to do then is there we have it, and you can see once we have the meringue done like that, we should just do a little test there, Tommy. Get a little bit of the head test. So there we have it, just like so. And then you can either pipe that out into individual meringues, or you can do what I'm done is just on a baking tray. Thanks, Tommy. Just on a baking tray, I'm just going to pile that
How did you get
out.
it so circular and so
I'm going
perfect?
to show you.
All right.
OK. That's how. Give the chef a break. Now, so spread it out just like so with your spatula. OK, just get that rough shape first. And then what I'm going to do is with the spatula around the side, just get it nice. So you just kind of keep going round and round. My parchment is slipping a bit on me.
That looks a lot neater.
Come here till I tell you. Well, I hadn't two looking up in my mouth when I was trying to make it last night.
So you're going for the triangle circle with that one, eh?
No, listen, come here. It's like getting yourself ready in the morning. You know, we all don't start off or end up like we start off.
Right,
so you have
come
to
on,
give it
we're running
a bit of
short
time.
on time.
Now,
Let's,
give that
how long
a bit
does
of
that
time.
go in for?
Now, that
Sorry,
goes in
but Alan.
120 for 20 minutes and then 100 for the remaining 40 minutes. I'm then going to take it 120 degrees.
No, but like people will want to know.
But they're after listening. I've told them 120 for 20 minutes and then 100 for 40 minutes.
Wow. Sorry, how long again? Right.
Now, there we have it.
Chop some strawberries.
I do, yeah. Neatly now. So
don't let Tommy at that. Tommy, no bigger.
Oh, secret hearted. And they tell you it gets easier. Now, put some strawberries on there as well. Stop the lights. Now, come here till I tell you.
Don't be messing us.
Sorry, Alan, you cut one there.
No, don't. It'll be worse.
No, I'm not.
Now, there we go. So put some blueberries.
I was going to just cut them into fours.
Don't attempt to.
I was going to put them like 4s like that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
nicer,
Now,
isn't it?
even that's much better, yeah.
There you go.
Now, so there we've got some lovely raspberries, some strawberries, some blueberries, okay? And again, this is
Edward
just a really
takes
nice...
great pride of how it looks, Tommy.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous.
Now, there we have it, just like so.
This as well?
Yeah, great bit of chocolate. I should have just started you with Tommy, I think, on the chocolate. The strawberries could have been a bit much. Then I've brought some lovely fresh mint here as well.
I don't mind about the mint.
And I'm just going to put a little bit of fresh mint on it.
Look at that.
Now, that's lovely. So there you have it. That's what
fairness,
the
that looks delicious.
Pavlova looks like. Again, we're having some really nice summer weather at the minute, extended summer weather. So that's just a really nice way. And again, as I've demonstrated this morning, you could do this for little children's birthday party and get the children to help.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Edward Hayden, unofficially Ireland's most favourite dessert, the Pavlova.
Now, there you have it. And that is absolutely to die for.
Can't wait to get into that.
All right.
Thank you so much, Edward.
You're very welcome.
We're tucking into this, but
You're
still to
very
come.
welcome.
We're checking in with the apple of our eye. Yes, Deric Hartigan's pressing apples. We'll see in a few minutes.
Welcome back. Now, Deric has been getting one of his 5 a day all morning. It takes a long time to eat an apple, doesn't it? He's previewing the apple harvest day.
Yeah, to find out more and show us the perfect apple press, we go live to lovely Leitrim.
Yes, Deric, how are we getting on?
Yes, lovely Leitrim, bang on the money, guys. Welcome back up here to a beautiful part of the country, Rossinver here. We're at the Organic Centre right across the morning. We're joined now by Stephen Campbell, of course, September in full swing, which means apple pressing season is upon us, Stephen.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a huge amount of stuff for harvesting all sorts at the moment, but the big one is the apples, and we take our apples and we turn into apple juice, which I know you'll be doing very soon.
Now, tell us about the Organic Centre here itself. You're set on 19 acres.
That's right. We were founded in '95. And it was spearheaded by a local grower at the time called Rod Alston, and him with a group of other farmers and environmentalists kind of got together and recognised that there was a growing demand at the time for just more information on organic growing and farming and ecology, all that kind of stuff.
We've lovely shots here and there. I love the fact that there's no pesticides or no chemicals used here as well.
No, I mean, it's a strict thing that we don't do here. Everything's done as natural as possible. The plants are growing kind of slowly within the polytunnels and then planted out. But absolutely, yeah, we move away from all that. It's all natural. The gardens are fertilised with manure, with compost, with seaweed and stuff like that.
And what are you growing in the polytunnels?
Oh, a bit of everything. We kind of do a bit of everything. The tunnels are obviously used for things that we need in North Leitrim to keep in the tunnels, like tomatoes and chilies and peppers and all that type of stuff. And then we've extensive area outside where we grow the usual stuff, spuds and leeks and turnips.
And I've even spotted grapes in there this morning.
Grapes, yeah. We've a nice grape. It's a German grape, Black Hamburg, which grows actually really well in this part of the country, but you need the polytunnels just to help it ripen. But it grows really well, and we sell quite a bit of it too.
And all this produce then goes directly into the farmers' market?
We do, and we sell the cafes and the restaurants locally as well, which is a core part of the ethos that we have here. That what we grow kind of goes to the local area, and we produce quite a bit. We did about 2,000 kilos of fresh food last year, just to 10 cafes and restaurants locally.
Now, talk us through the cafe itself. We have pics on air at the moment. Beautiful setup.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So this was established in 2001, the building. So it's not just a cafe, but we've an eco shop and we've the classrooms. A lot of teaching goes on here. But the cafe is open at the moment at the weekends, and the chef who runs it at the moment, he gets a lot of the produce fresh from the gardens and then mixed up then.
And now is the time, I suppose, to be buying your seeds for next season, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's something we're very proud of. We have a huge extensive catalogue of seeds that we sell in the cafe, in through the shop. And we'll be getting those ready now. So for November, December, we'll have a full range of seeds available.
And you've got all the workshops kicking off as well.
It's ongoing, so we have that all year round. It's ongoing, and coming this time of year, there's a lot of crafty kind of things like stonewall building, basket making, as well as gardening courses.
Oh, that's non-stop here in County Leitrim this morning. Now, join us as our fruit expert, Phil Whelan. Good morning to you, Phil. You're going to take us through the process of apple pressing.
Yes, we are, in record time.
Record time, go for it.
So, first of all, we obviously harvest the apples, and we have to mill them first in this machine. So I've got to make a bit of noise just just for a second.
Okay, and we here have Tanya and Stefan. Good morning to you guys. Fire them in there, lads. All the way from Baden-Württemberg in Southwest Germany this morning. And they're helping us out here this morning.
The machine's jammed.
So here we go, live on air. You gotta love it. The organic pressing machine isn't working. Is it mulching here this morning? Is it working?
It's been working perfectly the whole morning.
Okay, it has been working perfectly. Turn it on there. Is it not working?
It's not happening,
I don't believe it. Anyway, what happens is, right, this machine was actually working here earlier on this morning. All the apples going, I can't believe it. Anyway, the mulch comes out here and it goes here. So this is something we did earlier. Can we show the viewers at home? We'll just show the viewers at home just so they can see it. So there we have it here. So we'll open that back. And this is all the apple press, I believe.
Yeah. So what should have happened is we pulp the apples through the mincer and we make little like cheeses of them in a stack like this, right?
Okay.
And then you fold it
So this is the entire apple skin and everything?
Yeah. The whole apple goes in there. And if you focus, you'll see that you can already see that there's a bit of the juice is coming out.
And you have to layer it up, right?
You do. Well, now, we'd already got 3 prepared. We weren't going to have a 4th, but obviously that didn't happen. So what we then do, once we got a stack made, you basically do nothing, or we do nothing more sophisticated than get a...
You let nature do its work, really, I suppose.
Yeah, a bit of basic physics, really.
And even with the slight weight on it there, Phil, I can actually see the juice coming out of it.
You can, yeah. So what we do is just give it a squeeze then, and as you'll see, we'll get enough juice for you to have a taste anyway, Deric.
All the orchards here as well, there's no pesticides, no chemicals
Absolutely
used.
not, no. We've got a mixture of about 50 or 60 different varieties. Mixture of Irish and mostly UK ones that can kind of handle the conditions.
Okay, what apples, what variety do you use?
Well, for example, in here, we've got a Limerick cooking apple called
Limerick cooking apple, you can't beat them.
Yeah.
We can see all that juice coming out.
There you go.
That's beautiful. Okay, give us a taster of that here. Get your jug there.
Yeah.
That is really, really nice.
You want to keep going?
Give us a little taster here. We're going to pop over here.
Right, so...
This is fresh from the press. Here we go. You take, Stephen.
Right.
There we go. Here we go now. We'll taste this live on air.
Taste.
Fresh apple juice all the way from County Leitrim. All right, you be ready? 3, 2, 1. Cheers. Up Leitrim. And that's the Leitrim wave, is it? When you're driving in the car. Oh, that's delicious. Very sweet as well.
Is it? Really sweet, yeah. And the thing is, every batch is kind of different because obviously we harvest them at different points. There's different concentration of sugar in the apples, so it's a unique one right now. It'll be different this time next week.
And that's available in the Organic Centre. Theorganiccentre.ie is where you'll find them online, guys. And look, lads, I'm going to bring you back a couple of bottles as well, all the way from North County Leitrim. Up the Leitrim.
Love it, Deric. Thank you very much.
It's gonna like that.
It's great.
He'll be high as a kite now.
I'd
Delicious.
love
Poor man. Of course the press wouldn't work live on telly. There you go.
Chaotic this show is sometimes.
It certainly is. And we've lots more chaos after this short break. Thanks for staying with us. And thank you for all the texts that are coming in this morning. We were talking about cyber safe kids. What's he laughing at?
Nothing. No, honestly,
very chilled.
Very chilled. Including the statistics are quite worrying. It said 1 in 4, 25% of children aged between 8 and 12 experience some online bullying. And we're asking for your comments. And Orla sent us in this message and said, I feel so out of depth when it comes to social media, never mind being a parent. I'm also trying to monitor my kids' online usage. More education around online safety would definitely be something that I'd be in favour of.
What do you think of this one? Rita, I'm not ashamed to admit it that I monitor my kids' online usage through an app I downloaded last year. Some of my mammy friends question if it's fair to invade my children's privacy, but I don't care. I'd rather my kids are angry with me but safe. Yeah. So do you think, is it fair to go and read through their messages, read through their online activity? We have one dad behind here saying absolutely.
Yes.
That's something that we should talk about.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the privacy of children, because obviously you need your own space. But like if my parents, when I was younger, they walked into your room, they walked into your room.
Yeah, but,
you'd be angry with them.
Yeah, but if you had a
You're allowed
diary,
to be angry.
But if you had a diary and you caught your mother reading your diary, you'd probably go mad.
I'm actually thinking back to my mother reading my diary.
Yeah, like I'm agreeing with Rita. I think it's absolutely more important.
The things that were in your diary were.
I'm about 8 and I liked a boy.
Yeah.
But you imagine like some of the things, like you'd be seeing messages by other kids, you'd be like, oh, it's actual.
Oh my
Becker saying that to my son or to like you get real protective. We put it up on our Instagram.
To privacy, that's something that we should be talking about. Actually, that's interesting.
Do you worry about your kids online? The results, listen, 66% of people said that they do worry about their kids' privacy online. 22% said no.
Now, we were
thank you
also,
for your text.
Yes, we were also talking earlier on. You were chatting about the new AI Popstar.
This is amazing. This is nuts. It's nuts.
It's created. So the person who it's based on, that's a man that they filmed that. The voice is a male voice.
Well,
and they've created
it's a mixture
female.
of voices.
No,
I think
but the man, it was a man who was walking. So that actual her creation is based on a man. So he was doing all the walking, all her AI, how they pictured it. Listen,
okay,
it was so good. Anyway, Paula said, I will absolutely be playing that song on my way into work. An absolute earworm. Warner Music will love that.
Nashuri or something, isn't it? But she has like an Instagram profile with over 400 followers on an Instagram. Like
400,000 followers.
It's 400,000 followers. Like it's not like a person. You know, it's artificial.
It is. But you were saying your Emma
my daughter
would love it.
My daughter would love it. And the song is ridiculous. We played it first thing this morning and it's stuck in my ear all day. So anyway, thank you for your texts.
Yes, up next.
Been coming in.
We are looking ahead to the Rugby World Cup with just an amazing former Irish rugby player. Like, we're really proud to have him here, aren't we, Alan?
Very proud.
It's fantastic.
My old good buddy.
Ian Madigan will be here very shortly to break it down for us.
Now you're very welcome back. Well, it all gets underway this Friday. I'm very excited. The Rugby World Cup returns to our screens with Ireland entering into the fray on Saturday against Romania.
Yeah, from pitch to punditry, we're joined now by Irish international Ian Madigan. Good morning, Ian. How are you doing?
Very good. Thanks, Millie, for having me on.
It's so lovely to chat to you because obviously you, along with Tommy, you've gotten ready for these Rugby World Cups before the very serious time now. I'm sure there was never any crack leading up to the World Cup, Ian.
There was always a bit of crack now. Me and Tommy, we used to room with each other. So, it was fond memories from the World Cup that I went in 2015. And in fairness to Joe, no stone was left unturned, and we had plenty of fun along the way.
Like it's a great time. There's a huge sense of anticipation and excitement in the build up to the World Cup, and you can see that with the Irish team at the minute. In like that, they're over on tours. They had like a welcoming event. We did that in England as well. Like it's just before it all kicks off. There's just this air of excitement for supporters, for players, but then the first match is what it's all about.
Yeah, big time. And like you can see anytime you see anything on social media like this or them coming into training, the squad just looks so tight and they look like they're actually really enjoying it, which massively feeds into how you actually play in the games. If you're not enjoying it, you won't actually play for each other. I saw like clips last night of them on the golf simulator in the team room. I know if that was there when I was playing, I probably wouldn't have made it onto the rugby pitch, but yeah, it's good to see the smiles on faces. And
you definitely wouldn't have been available to play because you would have injured your shoulder or something, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's your man held together with glue. But it's a side of the Rugby World Cup that I had no idea that, like, in the lead up to it, there's like gala dinners, there's presenting of caps. Like, you really have to get involved with the community, Ian, before you kind of get onto the real business.
Yeah, and in France, like the country will just completely get behind every team. They're massive supporters of rugby. Like there's, to put things into perspective, there's 28 professional teams over there, versus the 4 that we have in Ireland. So, you've just got so many rugby supporters there that have been, looking forward to this competition. And I think the connection between the French and Irish has always been very special over the years, and they will adopt Ireland as their second team, which, you know, will be great for us, you know, in the games, having full stadiums.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a huge following, Irish and French over there as well. And listen, from a rugby player's point of view, like the Rugby World Cup, like Ireland haven't done well ever in the Rugby World Cup, which is really shocking considering how good we are in the lead up to it. And this year we're going in there as #1 ranked team. But if you think back to 2015, you and I were both there. And that game against France, where we beat them in the pool to top the pool, like occasions like that will stick in your mind forever. Like, what was your memory of that game back in 2015?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience for me. Like, I remember leading into the World Cup, I was, you know, doubted both, you know, by myself, by friends, family, the media, you know, who was going to be able to step in and cover Johnny if he did get injured. And I suppose that French game was probably just realising that, you know, I was good enough to be able to step in. And, you know, when you saw the bit of emotion afterwards, it was more relief than anything else. But yeah, look, that's the World Cup. It's just so special. Like you prep for, you know, you leave no stone unturned for probably about 2 years leading into it. You know, you're planning all your gym sessions, your diet, setting your goals. And then when you get there, it's just an incredible experience. It's you know, the pinnacle of the game.
Was there a bit of a smile there on Ian's face about
really
it
annoying.
being...
It was annoying because, like, we beat France. It was such an epic day. We were all so happy. And front page of the paper was Ian, you know, bawling his eyes out.
There it is.
Ian, this picture, because you were there, you didn't know, like, you were all so emotional, right?
Like, the picture probably doesn't do it justice.
No.
It's the meme. And that's the thing that probably annoyed you the most, that it was the meme of, like the emotion and the tears of joy.
Yeah, like for probably 2 or 3 years afterwards, every Friday without doubt, I'll be getting sent probably 15, 20 of those memes on Instagram. You know, when you see your friend leaving a club with a girl, you just, you know. And I was actually really embarrassed about it for a long time. But as time's gone on, I've just kind of found a way to deal with it. And, you know, I suppose that was me at the time. And yeah, look, such fond memories of that day. So.
And listen, it shouldn't be something that you should be ashamed of. And yes, I'm sure it's used for slagging a lot. But at the same time, emotion and men being open to cry and whatever else. And listen, it was a special day. I mean, I just love, though, how you're saying the nerves. Could I replace it? Could I be there to show off Johnny, or to live up to Johnny? And, like, Ian turned up with the tightest, highest haircut we'd ever seen. It was like, you know, take all the attention off myself. I'm just going to go under the radar. And he comes with this mental haircut for the biggest game of his career.
Oh, yeah. I remember getting my haircut pretty much every second day throughout that World Cup. There was one thing that I wasn't leaving to chance.
What is it with you rugby players? Like, we've just seen you with your blonde tips, you with your hair. We just saw the KE put in Mac Hansen's hair. Right. You do like to go at it with the hair.
Yeah, there's a bit of science behind it, though. You know, flashy boots and a flashy haircut. You want people looking at you know, your extremities. You don't want them looking at your hips, because that's where, you know, the best tackles are made. The hips don't lie, but if they're tracking your head or your feet, you can. There's a bit of trickery involved. So, look, there was science behind it, Muireann.
I got to write that down.
I never knew that, obviously, but yeah, Mads, I should have followed you for that one. That's why I always wear, like, the black boots, Mr. Boring, all the time as well. Yeah. Listen, you're going to be doing a bit of punditry around this World Cup as well. Are you looking forward to kind of, you know, you've been there, done that, but punditry is a different kettle of fish. You're still involved in it, but you're not getting beaten up. How are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, really excited to join the Virgin team. I was in for a bit of the 20s World Cup, so kind of got a flavour of what's involved, and they've been brilliant to kind of help and train me up. So yeah, look, great to get involved. I've obviously watched a crazy amount of rugby over the years, so you know, hopefully I'm going to take to it well and be able to give my own opinion on games and, you know, relate to people who are watching it.
If there's one thing I know, you'll give your own opinion, to be fair. If there's anything that comes off Ian on a rugby pitch, he'll let you know.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah. I suppose I have my own way of viewing games and my own, you know, view on how the game should be played. And Tommy would have sat in plenty of meetings with me where I would have suggested stuff and Joe famously would often be like, he'd entertain me and kind of keep encouraging me along as I would be saying my point, and then he'd get to the end of it, he'd just go, yeah, no, we're not going to be doing
I mean, I'm only on the wing going, like, just pass me the ball. I don't really care.
I'm just wearing my black boots, lads. I'm just here to enjoy myself. That's so good. It's going to be, like, obviously it's kicking off this weekend. You're going to be going over there. You're heading over there for all this thing. It's really exciting because we're really hoping to get past the quarterfinals. Do you believe that we can finally do that, Ian?
Yeah, I do. Like, I fully believe we're going to win it. You know, I know the draw is lopsided. We've got the tougher teams in, South Africa, Scotland, France on our side, or New Zealand. So the key game in our group is obviously, we need to beat Scotland. And then I still think we need to beat South Africa as well, because I think France will beat New Zealand. France beat New Zealand, and we beat South Africa, then we'll play New Zealand in the semi-final, which I think is an easier game or in the quarterfinal, which I think is an easier game than playing France. I think France at home, and the likes of Dupont and Peno, like, they just have incredible guys that can change a game. I'd rather we played them maybe in the final. So that's my kind of. Don't know what you think, Tommy.
Yeah, it's such a difficult draw. I mean, listen, for Andy Farrell and the Irish team, they couldn't be any better prepared going into a World Cup. But just the fact that there's, 5 of the best teams in the world are all on one side of the draw, it makes it incredibly difficult. From Johnny Sexton point of view, from an out-half point of view, Johnny's obviously been banned for a number of months, has played no rugby at all. For Andy Farrell, do you think they play him against Romania, Tonga, and then into South Africa, Scotland? Like, as a management type of thing, as out and out half, how important is it to get game time early on?
Yeah, for me, it was always really important. And I always felt like, I improved after playing kind of 3, 4, 5 games in a row. But, Johnny's very different. And any time that he's been out for a long period of time and he's come back in for, an important European game or important international in autumn or in the Six Nations, he's always been able to perform without having played a whole lot beforehand. And, Tommy, from training with him, the way he trains is no different to how he plays. He's 100% every single time, and you can be guaranteed over the last few months that he'll be gearing himself up. And I think he'll probably he'll start one of the first 2 games, and he'll sub for one of the first 2, and then they'll start him up. So I think for Scotland and South Africa, I'd imagine.
Well, I hope now you've done some serious product placement with, people that you know very well, sending off your CBD oil. Feel free. You've been like, lads, here you go. I'm gonna bring the stress levels down a little bit.
On the pitch.
Yeah.
Get the hair done.
Maybe that was what you did to me on the pitch. Like, why is Tommy zoned out all the time? Yes, the new CBD, like, feel free with yourself and Anna. Like, that's very exciting. And I suppose it's important to, while playing rugby and after rugby, having something like that to be involved in. So congratulations on the new life.
Thank you, Tommy. Yeah.
It's been Tommy's done everything else. You had to pick something, right?
I'll be...
Go on. Listen, you're very good, Mads. Thank you so much for joining us. And listen, we look forward, hopefully on ABC over there this weekend, and look forward to seeing you on Virgin Media's rugby coverage over the World Cup as well. And no doubt, if you want an opinion, Mads is your man.
It's going to be good.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Miriam.
Thanks, Ian. Cheers. Thank you so much. Hello, welcome back. It might be scorching, thank God, outside today. But, it is eventually going to go away. So if you want to be extra organised, it's time to get your autumn essentials ready.
And Justine King is here to show us exactly what we need. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we're elevating day wear.
Yes. So that's kind of the part that people struggle with often, is just what to wear in the everyday and make it look stylish. So you look a little bit more put together, but it's comfortable, it's practical, and all of those things too.
OK, let's kick off. And we have Yomiko first.
Yeah, so Yomiko first.
We saw this earlier on. I just love this coat.
Isn't it gorgeous? So this is from Irish brand On Trend. So it's kind of a pleated, your wool coat, but also a trench coat in style as well. It's almost a dress in itself. And if you're wearing that with a dress, like, it's nearly just to complete the whole outfit. But as I've styled it here today, just with your jeans for your everyday.
What is the material?
Oh, it's a wool coat.
Is it a wool coat?
It's not a trench.
No, it's not a trench. Yeah, it is your kind of heavy and it's fully lined and everything. So it is your kind of winter coat. It comes in a brown, a khaki and a camel as well, but then the beige just keeping it really simple and minimalist with the rest of the looks. I think it's just lovely and sophisticated, isn't it?
It really is nice, because I saw it when I was looking at it on screen earlier and I did think it was a trench.
Yeah, so you think, and then it has the pleating, which is that little bit different. Burberry had done that in a trench coat, but I haven't seen any of the designers do it in your actual winter coat. So the blouse underneath, also from On Trend, the little broderie detail. Now, you'd wear this now in this sunnier weather. You could put this with a pair of shorts or a skirt for your holidays. You could wear this to the office, you know, with a smarter trouser. The little detail around the cuff I just love as well. And then it is that button down and nice and light. And that comes in a small up to a large too.
Gorgeous. Kind of very cool French girl vibes off everything here today. Lovely trousers.
Flare jeans.
Yes, gorgeous flare jeans.
Are we going to see the flares a lot?
Definitely, yeah. And these are your slightly cropped flares, which I love, especially at this time of the year, for styling with your loafer or a little bit later with, say, a sock boot. These definitely very 70s inspired. They are high-waisted and they come in a lighter blue as well, but they are just a gorgeous little fit and just kind of an easy jean. The shoes then.
These loafers.
Yeah, it's kind of loafer season now, I always think, kind of September, October. These are from Shoes, which is SHOOZZ, who are in Mallow. They are our patent leather loafer, and then the little buckle across the front. So we're tying in the kind of beige that's in the coat too. And then bringing in the bag, which is also from Shoes. This is your gorgeous woven leather, and that is by the brand Guess. So that's your kind of everyday tote bag, and it does have the shoulder strap as well as the top handles.
Lovely. Cool. Knocked out of the park with the first look, so you've put it up there now to yourself, Justine. We've got Kelly with look number 2.
So look number 2.
Now, there you go. Nice little coat there now.
Exactly. And while this looks like just, you know, put together with...
jacket.
They're back, Alan.
I know that's not a jacket.
No, we're calling this a full coat because it is lined, but I know we hate the word jacket. This one is a lined coat, so this is heavier and it's going to do you all winter long. Again, it is from On Trend. It has the oversized blue buttons as well, so it's going to be great with your blue denims. We did see this look on one of the catwalks, I think it was on Ferragamo, which is your hoodie and leggings and a coat, which we would think is just an everyday, but it is a trend this season.
It's on the catwalks.
Exactly, well, it is elevating that kind of day wear. So the little top underneath then is from Friday's Edit. It's a super soft textured knit. And then you can see on the little cuffs there, there's just some gorgeous kind of pearl oversized buttons too. And that comes in a range of colours too.
And then we've got the biker leggings on back.
Yes, the nice coated leggings. These ones are fleece lined, so not for the weather today, but in a couple of weeks when it gets really cold, they're lovely and soft. They come in black, in wine and in green as well. Great with a biker boot or just styling down with the trainer, as I've done with it here.
Yeah, really
matching navy.
Yeah, so we've gone for these gorgeous platforms, and they're by the brand Gant. Really comfortable to wear. They've got the little bit of navy at the back, so they're tying in the kind of navy and the look. And then I love that ribbon detail, kind of makes them nice and feminine as well.
Gorgeous, and you've picked up kind of a contrast with the bag.
Yeah, we've gone for the taupe colour in the bag. Gorgeous quilted leather, and then it's got gorgeous gold strap detail going across the front. So it's just keeping it nice and simple with our accessories.
Very nice, and it's not a jacket.
No, we're calling this one a coat. I think the difference is the lining.
The lining.
Then it'd be heavier and work.
What word are you going to hate this year?
The pearls on this one now.
Yeah,
Look
so
at
we've
you.
definitely elevated her day wear here
Certainly
for Ursula.
has. Ursula's off to a posh lunch.
Yeah, exactly. This one is from Irish brand KC Dresses, who are online. I'll start with her beautiful blazer. I love this gold blazer. I think wearing that even with a simple cami and your pair of
gold?
jeans.
Cream.
Oh my God. Creamy gold. It's a metallic. There's a metallic shine off that, no?
We're convinced I'm colourblind.
Okay, I think you must be.
Gold.
It's a gold. It is a gold. Goldy cream. Okay, we'll call it. So, that with your simple cami, I think coming into the party season, you could dress that right up as well. The jumper, so those pearls are actually sewn onto the jumper, so you don't need any other accessories with it. I'm going to say the C word, but I do think a kind of Christmas Day
don't
look.
say it, don't say it.
Christmas lunches, we are into autumn now. This would be absolutely beautiful, and you know, your accessorising is done for you. This skirt, again from KC Dresses, gorgeous tulle skirt. This is one size because it has an elasticated waist and then a tie ribbon, so you can pull it right in, and it does come in a black and a cream as well.
And what you've done with the boots.
Yeah, so the boots, again, I'm loving that kind of taupey colour.
Done with the boots?
It's the way they're all kind of different. Now, you won't be able to tell because you're obviously are colourblind, but it's kind of, they're all sort of off, a little bit off colour of each other.
All right.
So it's kind of tonal. It's got the inside zip as well, and they are by sustainable brand S. Oliver.
Gorgeous.
So then the bag, I've gone for a nice kind of oversized tote, and again, it's in that kind of slightly off cream stone colour, which is just going to go with everything. And it's got a larger strap as well if you do prefer a shoulder bag.
That is a lovely cream jacket.
Wearing that. It's up to the viewers at home to decide. I think it's definitely a gold blazer.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous kind of your day suit. And this one, again, is from Casey Dresses. I love that khaki colour, but it's got that kind of sporty edge with the collar. And then, I know you love this too, it has a scrunched sleeve that's already done for you.
I'd love
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Gorgeous blue suit.
And then the elasticated cuff, and then, of course, the stripe down the trouser as well. And that kind of oversized, relaxed fit in the trouser. So they do have an elasticated waist too. It's got elastic at the back, and that thick band at the front of the trouser makes it very flattering. So the suit is sold as one.
Oh, sold as a suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
so then
t-shirt
we've
has
just gone
detailing
for
as well.
the simple little tee, so the slogan tee, and then I love that little pearl detail again on the shoulder with the padded shoulder. And I always think that's a much more flattering shoulder when you have the bit of padding than a very sharp.
They're so chic. They're fantastic with the gold necklaces. They're so good. The runners here.
Yeah, so we've gone for our simple white runners, and then they've the little bit of gold hardware too. Really lightweight and kind of easy to wear. They're your nice everyday runner. And again, they're from Gant Shoes.
Gorgeous. The bag.
So the bag, I think this is my favourite bag of the day. It's that kind of mustardy tone, the saddle bag. I love the kind of longer strap. And I just think even though mustard might be a colour you think I have nothing on my wardrobe that it will go with other things. You don't have to wear it with mustard. As you can see, the khaki, but any creams or bronzes or anything that would be stunning with
the trench coat. It would look amazing if
Yeah.
you're wearing with any
the
sort of
little
trench
pop of
coat.
colour, but it's just kind of off those neutral palette.
Lovely.
Very
looks,
nice.
Great idea.
Justine, thank you so
Justine,
much.
Cheers.
Now, coming up next, myself and Tommy are learning about the benefits of tapping as a form of meditation.
Yeah, we're going to have a colour chart for you tomorrow to learn that as well. It's going to be amazing. We'll see you back here very shortly. What colour is this?
We're supposed to be all zen here now. Tommy Bow is just... Go on, what are you doing? You have your cigarette?
No. If you're looking for a meditative moment, then why not take a leaf out of Russell Brand Pink Boy George's books by tapping? There you go. Tapping on your face.
There they are. It's as simple as that. And here to talk us through tap meditation is health and wellness expert Jen Healy. Jen, good morning.
Good morning, lads. I think we need to maybe
what
put
is Tommy doing there? What is that?
So Tommy is using the sage to clean our space.
Okay. So can I ask you just quickly the sage? So you light the sage and then you're saying it gets rid of what?
So the sage is, this particular sage is to just to clear any negative energy that's in yourself, in your space, and it's great for actually cleansing out your home. Open the windows, sage the house, put some nice music on.
Okay,
so basically,
we've saged the house.
We've saged each other.
So where do you get something like this?
You can buy them in any of the kind of crystal shops and the little there's loads of little markets popping up around at the minute.
But we're not here to talk about sage.
Okay.
We've done the sage. We've cleared the bad
We've done
spirits.
our oils.
Now we've put some oil on our hands.
Yes.
We've got the incense burning.
Yeah.
And tapping. Like we just saw Russell Brand do it. We've seen Pink do it. Boy George. Loads of celebrities doing it.
It's a big thing now.
Is it for stress? Like what is tapping?
So tapping is basically called EFT tapping, and it's an emotional freedom technique. And basically what it is it teaches you to move trapped energy and emotion that's stuck in the body. So it's for everything like anxiety, illness, confidence, self-worth. It's really good.
And like it even works because you were on the M50, you're running late and you're there tapping.
Yeah.
Like it really will relieve stress at any place.
If anyone's on the M50 this morning, you'll know that it's crazy. So I've been sitting behind the wheel and I've just been tapping the sequence that I'm going to take you through in a few minutes because I was getting anxious and I have ADHD and I tend to get extra overwhelmed. So I just needed to.
And tell me, where did this all start? Where did this come from?
So the EFT tapping actually started in the States in the 1980s. There was a psychologist called Dr. Callahan, and he designed TFT. And he had a student who was an engineer, and he thought, no, I can make this even better. And his name was Daniel Craig. So he went, or Gary Craig, and he went and actually developed EFT, a whole new sequence to it. Yeah.
I was thinking Daniel Craig, if James Bond was doing it, we're doing it. Okay, right. Let's get into it. What is the sequence then that is going to calm us all down?
Yeah, so basically what you do with the tapping is you move through the energy hot points in your body, and each meridian is in connection with your organs in your body. And coming from a psychologist background, he started to study Chinese medicine, and he realised he might be able to incorporate that into his practice.
Okay, so what are we doing?
So basically, we're just going to be standing up, and your first so whatever is your right hand is your tapping hand.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're just going to begin to tap in between your eyes, and just repeating after me. even though I feel anxious right now.
Have you stopped?
Even though I
that's
feel
what we're
anxious.
repeating.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Take two for Tommy. So even though I feel anxious right now,
Yeah.
then come down onto the side of your eye. I give myself permission to breathe right now.
I give myself permission to breathe
And then
right
under
now.
the eye, even though I'm worried about what's going to happen.
Even though I'm worried about what's going to happen.
Come down under the nose. I give myself permission to breathe right now.
I give myself permission to breathe right now.
Smell lovely, that stuff.
Come down onto your chin. I know that I am safe right now.
I know that I am safe right now.
And down onto your collarbone. I give myself permission to start releasing some of the anxiety.
I give myself permission to start releasing some of the anxiety.
Yeah, now your spleen is under your arm, so you want to tap in there nice and strong. So even though I feel anxious right now.
You weren't doing this in the car in the
This was me in the car behind the wheel, yeah. So even though I feel anxious right now.
Even though I feel anxious right now.
And then last, just onto the top of your head, I begin to release the anxiety right now.
I begin to release the anxiety right now.
And then just relax. Just take a nice deep breath in. And that's just a quick little sequence. Now you
There you
can
go.
do 1 minute, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all different.
What is it with tapping though? What does the tapping do?
So when you have energy stuck in the body, what the tapping does, it goes into the meridian point and it starts to move that energy. So think about it, energy is, if you get energy blocks or imbalances, you get sick, you get illness, everything starts to go wrong kind of in the body when you have blocks.
Okay, and you're going to be at the Swell Fest, and it's on in
Yeah.
Dublin on Saturday.
So you'll catch
in Marion
me
Square.
Mountjoy Square.
Oh, Mountjoy Square, sorry.
Yeah, and it's a free festival. It's run by the NEIC. There's going to be loads of amazing things, and there's a lot to do for the kids as well. So come down on Saturday if you're free.
If you want to find you online,
Yeah,
social media.
so my Instagram page is Ian Yoga Jen, and all the information is up there.
Jen Healy, thank you so much for that. I'm feeling so relaxed right now. I'm going to drive to the
We
M50.
managed to calm him down.
Warren, are you all
What's
relaxed
coming up
in there? You're
tomorrow?
doing your tapping.
As always, my darling, thank you so much. On tomorrow's show, we'll be live from the K Club, chatting to the likes of Craig Doyle, Connor Sketches, and more at the Irish Open. We'll see you back here from 7 a.m. Have a lovely day. Bye.